Warning, the following podcast is rated S for spoilers. Seriously, if you haven't already watched Loki Season 1, go watch it right now. What are you doing with your life? Go watch it. And for those of you who are cool enough who have watched it, good job. Now enjoy the episode.
Oh, welcome back.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Moderately Interesting Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron.
And I'm Mitch.
In today's episode, in case you haven't noticed, is rated S for spoilers.
For slime.
What?
You got slime.
You got slime. Here's your Nickelodeon Choice Awards. Here's your orange blimp.
Yeah.
We got it from Drake Bell, because he's not going to need that one anymore.
No, he's not, because he's a bird.
It turns out he's not a good person. Play the theme song.
Hey, Aaron.
Mitch. Oh, that was weird.
Wow.
That was like our, I don't know what that was.
Yeah. Hey, guess what episode it is?
What episode is it?
Number 20.
Episode 20.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're almost caught up with the amount of Fast and Furious movies there are.
Yeah. Yep.
I only got like 25 now at this point.
Yeah, I don't know what number they're on.
Either.
With all the spin-offs and everything. I
mean,
have no idea.
In fact, I've never seen a Fast and the Furious movie.
I've seen one.
Yeah.
The one where the
I don't know.
the guy that died.
Oh. Paul Walker.
Paul Walker, not Parker.
There
Walker.
There is a really funny joke in like one of the first episodes of Workaholics.
Uh-huh.
Did you ever watch Workaholics?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Been
like
a while,
Adam,
but yeah.
Yeah, Adam.
Uh-huh.
Like he's like trying to get with like this girl that he had a crush on like back in the day in high school.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, she's like, I don't know you. And he's like, yeah, we saw Fast and the Furious together. She's like, I don't think so. And he's like, yeah, I'm the guy who was like, hey, Paul Walker, click it or ticket. And I'm like, that joke is like so much funnier, but so much more messed up now. like it was just a harmless joke, but like, oh my gosh, like.
Yeah, when I watched that, it was probably before he died.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah.
R.I.P. Paul Walker.
Anyways, we've caught up to
in those movies that I've never seen.
Yeah, we're catching up to Fast and Furious. We're going faster and more furious.
We are more faster, more furious. We are the faster and furiouser.
Mm-hmm.
You can put us in anger management for how furious we are.
You can try and catch up to us.
Try. I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hit the nos, Mitch. Hit the nos.
How'd that sound?
It sounded like nos to me.
Cool. That's what I was going for.
Yeah.
What are we talking about today?
We're talking about this Loki Season 1 finale.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So once again, people,
Spoilers.
if you haven't, spoilers. If you haven't already seen Loki, get on it right now. It's so good.
I've talked to people recently. I'm like, have you watched Loki? And they're like, no.
No.
And
you're like,
how have you not watched Loki?
I don't know what you do with your life to like actively choose to not watch Loki. So I'm just gonna withdraw from this conversation right now.
I've talked to people that are like Marvel fans that will talk to me about the Marvel universe, and they've even watched like I think some of them watched WandaVision. WandaVision seems like the most marketed one.
Yeah, it's because it's like the first one. I think.
Yeah.
I think they kind of expected you to go from like WandaVision to Falcon and the Winter Soldier to Loki to kind of just like ride that wave.
Yeah. Which we're currently doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, some people just jumped off the wave, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
Didn't
Cowards.
understand that there's
Cowards.
More. Yeah. The people I've talked to are like, they don't understand that the TV shows also.
They matter so much.
Yeah. They're part of what we've seen so far. And if not more, I mean, we'll talk about it, but this may be one of the most important episodes.
This is probably the most important episode.
ever.
Yeah. This is definitely setting up a whole bunch of the movies. And let's just hop right into it with the big reveal. We finally figured out who is the guy behind TVA.
Mm-hmm.
He's got an ominous name, it turns out. So for first of all, let's go for first of all those people who guessed Kang the Conqueror. King the Conqueror is behind this all. Congratulations. You were wrong.
Wrongo.
Wrong. It was not King the Conqueror. It was a variant of King the Conqueror. He Who Remains.
Right.
So I'll give you partial credit if you guess King the Conqueror.
Is He Who Remains, because he talks about how he like fought the other variants.
Yes.
Is He Who Remains his name because he won and he remains? So was he King the Conqueror before?
No, so he wasn't King the Conqueror.
Okay.
But he is the one who remains because he took the monster thing and like weaponized it to use against his other variants.
Yeah.
So
he did say when they asked his name, he said, "I've gone by many names, and one of them was Conqueror."
Yeah, King, Conqueror, Ruler.
So that's why I ask: is that variant? Was he a Conqueror?
No, so he's
technically that would make people
I guess,
right.
I guess by like a technicality, he is a conqueror, but he was not Kang the Conqueror.
Okay. So Kang the Conqueror is a specific variant.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So it is a variant behind King the Conqueror. We learned that at some point in time, the multiverse did exist.
Yeah.
And like the way he explained like the multiverse and like meeting himself, all of his different variants, it felt very Rick and Morty, didn't it? Like,
yeah, it did.
Like Rick meeting his other Ricks.
Yeah.
He's Terra Ricks and stuff like that. Yeah, the Citadel of Ricks.
Right.
Which I didn't know until after the end of this, but the showrunner is a writer for Rick and Morty, or was a writer for Rick and Morty.
Oh, nice. So he knows how to mess with.
Yeah, he knows how to mess around with
stuff.
Multiverse stuff, exactly.
Yeah. Cool. But yeah, he Who Remains. So I don't really know much about the backstory of He Who Remains. I have looked into King the Conqueror.
Yeah, I don't think He Who Remains is an original comic book character.
I've heard that he's close to Immortus, I think is his name, or something. It's something along those lines, but it's one of them who is a little more reserved, very powerful, but it's like it's the one version of King the Conqueror that's kind of lasted through the battles, more or less. But I don't know.
I don't know much about like He Who Remains. I don't know if that's like a separate character that they like merged with him to King the Conqueror. That's a good thing. There's always something that I don't know.
And the Marvel Cinematic Universe does a good job of kind of giving us new variations. They're not like, they're not giving us 100% accurate depictions of the comic book because it's a different universe. It's the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're kind of giving their own twist on
Right, yeah. There's always a twist on all these characters.
Yeah. Let me tell you about Immortus really fast.
Okay.
So it sounds like the character He Who Remains, his first appearance was in Loki. But Immortus is the closest version of Kang from the comic books that is like the closest version to He Who Remains. So
yeah, so I'm looking up Immortus right now, and it's like like a different version. So it looks like they took the He Who Remains Marvel, like the comic book character, and Immortus, and kind of put them together into one character, which is cool. I did not know that. I did not know that at all.
I watched a video about that and kind of learned a little bit about Immortus.
That's cool. So King the Conqueror, he's one of my favorite. He's probably my favorite Marvel supervillain. And he's he's on the scale of Thanos. He's a Thanos level threat. He is Galactus. You know, he's just this big, you know, force of evil that the Avengers have to fight.
Right.
Um,
Well, we learned pretty quickly, even just in the first episodes of Loki, that whatever this power is, this time power, is potentially greater than the Infinity Stones.
yeah.
He said, like, I think he says, "Is this the greatest power in the universe?"
Right. Yeah. Whatever He Who Remains did has basically rendered the Infinity Stones kind of obsolete in his realm.
I mean, he was basically in control of the Infinity Stones. It was just like a little game that people were playing below King the Conqueror. And he probably had a little bit of control over it too, that we may find out about. I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, what I was gonna say though is the way that I was introduced to King the Conqueror the first time was in Young Avengers, where we met Iron Lad.
Uh-huh.
And it turns out Iron Lad is a future version of King the Conqueror. So like Iron Lad will grow up to be King the Conqueror, which was just like this cool thing where it was like this hero who's eventually going to become a villain, like is destined to be, you know, very like
Darth
Vader, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we see kind of like the big debate about whether Syl and Loki should kill He Who Remains and take over the TVA, or or either they should kill him or if they should take it over.
He promises them that they can like be together and take over this, you know, all seeing TVA monstrosity, and basically just he's kind of like delegating his authority to them.
And then Sylvie decides that she is going to kill him, and she does. And pretty much immediately we see the consequences of that as Loki gets sent to an alternate timeline, where he meets with Mobius,
Mobius, yeah.
And Mobius doesn't
That's going to be
recognize
confusing in the future.
Yeah.
When Morbius comes out.
When Morbius comes out and Mobius is there.
Yeah.
Morbius was already in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Was he?
That was the guy who played Morbius from The Matrix.
Oh, yeah. That Morbius.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking of the vampire.
Yeah, that is going to be confusing.
Yeah.
Because we have Mobius, the guy who played Morbius, and then we have the character Morbius.
And Lightning McQueen.
And Lightning Ka-chow.
Ka-chow.
Yeah, and so yeah, we get that like twist ending, and Marvel.com has confirmed that the statue that Loki sees at the end is the statue of King the Conqueror. So he's in the version like right there where either King the Conqueror originated from, or King the Conqueror has possibly already conquered. And that he is in a separate reality, separate timeline from the one that he originated from. So the Mobius. I'm gonna be getting that wrong all day now. Mobius, that new Loki still exists, and this is just an alternate variant of that Mobius.
Right.
So yeah, because there's confusion I've seen where people thought that like somehow King had like erased people's memories and stuff like that, but like no, it's like Loki's just in a different timeline, different reality now.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty clear. I don't know why people got
confused about that.
It's like you saw they just had. I mean, that whole entire episode was in his office.
Yes.
And he was explaining where he came from, the consequences of killing him. Like he told him specifically, like the multiverse.
Yep.
Is gonna,
it's gonna be a thing. Yeah.
If you kill me.
Yeah, and that's where season 1 ends with. We see the birth / rebirth of the multiverse.
Yep.
So what does that mean? Like, this is where we're gonna get to like our theory and speculation time.
Uh-huh.
What does that mean going forward for the MCU?
Well, we already know from the title releases of some of the movies that
Mm-hmm.
you got Ant-Man and the Wasp and the Quantumania,
We got Quantumania, and we
and then
know,
the big one,
yeah,
Multiverse of Madness.
in Multiverse of Madness, we know already that Jonathan Majors, who played He Who Remains, who's going to play the variant King the Conqueror. First of all, tip my hat to Mr. Majors. He did an outstanding performance as He Who Remains.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
It was such an authentic performance. It was
Yeah,
not like a typical like Thanos, and this is not discrediting Thanos,
yeah.
but Thanos was just like the big brutish bad guy,
Mm-hmm.
deep voice, just had his mission and wanted to do it. He Who Remains was so like out of it, like in so many different ways. Like he just not out of it, but like he had a lot of dimensions to his acting of
Yeah,
He Who Remains.
yeah. It was great. I
He
think
seemed
part of it.
crazy,
Yeah, I think part of that is because He Who Remains isn't necessarily a villain.
right?
Because he's like, if you think I'm bad, wait till you meet my variants.
Right.
Like this
He's
is
afraid of
actually,
himself.
yeah. Well, this might not be like the most good variant out there. This is like the
His
better alternative.
intentions are
Yeah,
good, but his
yeah,
actions are bad.
yeah. Exactly.
He's okay with killing innocent people in order to keep the bad versions of himself at bay, which
Yes,
is kind of how I pictured him.
yes.
But that's yeah, that's where like philosophy comes in. Like, is he bad? It depends on how you
Yeah.
look at him.
That was very Lord Rulery from Mistborn, if I do say so myself.
Yes,
Bring it back to our previous
very
episode.
much. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I kind of going into speculation. It says that Majors will be in Quantumania, and according to Wikipedia, he's going to be appearing as King the Conqueror.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I think he was originally cast as Kang.
Yes, yeah, but I thought I read somewhere, so I won't go off of that. But I thought it was just going to be like we don't actually know that he's being Kang. He could be like another variant in this movie, but it sounds like he's going to be Kang in Ant-Man and the Wasp,
Right.
which is coming out in 2023. Oh my gosh,
Boo.
so far away. But yeah, so we have in a TV show has essentially introduced us to our next Thanos level threat for the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yes.
I
would go as far as saying that it's much more greater than Thanos.
Yes. Oh yeah, I think so too. I
think Thanos with the Infinity Stones can put up a fight, but King the Conqueror has got some massive control over the universe.
Yeah, it's going to be super. Yeah, I'm super excited for this. King is, like I've said now a dozen times, he is one of my favorite MCU characters. So I'm excited to see what they do with him, where he goes. So we know that he's going to be showing up in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Ant-Man 3. So we know Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is going to have Wanda in it.
Yeah.
And Hollywood Reporter has reported that Loki is also has been cast in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Right.
So that's pretty huge too. They didn't announce that until after Loki Season 1 ended.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure how accurate that information is, but if that proves to be true, does that mean, do we think we're going to get Loki Season 2 before Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness?
When is that set to do?
Multiverse of Madness.
Set to be in theaters?
March 25th, 2022.
Okay. I doubt we'll get Season 2 then.
Yeah. So I just wonder if he is going to be in there. Loki does end up going to the Multiverse of Madness. Where does that take place? Does that take place before season 2? Does that can take place after season 2, kind of a thing? I would expect that it would be chronological, so that like you watch Loki season 1, you watch Multiverse of Madness, and then you watch Loki season 2.
Yeah. So what I would say, what I think is going to happen is, from what we've just seen, Loki gets pushed into another reality.
Mm-hmm.
So my question now is the Loki that we see, that we're going to be seeing in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, going to be the same Loki that we saw in the show?
That's a good thing. I would imagine yes, because I mean, just the way that it rolls, I think that would be how it works. Because it is Tom Hiddleston that they said is expected to return in Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
But yeah,
but there's other variants of Tom Hiddleston Lokis.
It could be another variant. But I would just expect it to be, our Loki that we come to know and love.
Yeah. And I was going to say the Tom Hiddleston at the end of this episode, when he's in the other reality, they don't recognize him. They look at him as like, hey, are you part of, I can't remember what division of the TVA, you need to go wherever they told him to go. But is he going to find a way out of there and then into the storyline of Doctor Strange? And then, or is season 2 of Loki going to start where it left off? And that's our Loki because we kind of have different versions of Loki in the TV show and the other, all the other Marvel movies, because with what happened in Endgame, he's starting at a different point than where we left off originally, because he dies in the ship to Thanos. Right. And then we go back in time to 2012 when he's fighting in New York, and then that's the Loki we get in the TV show to the end of the series, or to the end of the season. And so is it that same Loki, or is it going to be a different version?
Right. I mean, yeah, I'm going to be under the assumption that it's the same Loki that we've got from the Loki show.
Yeah.
I kind of think, unless they make it plainly obvious that it's a different Loki, that I don't think that they're going to change. I don't think we're going to be following a different variant Loki.
And the tricky thing with Loki is he is a trickster, so you never know.
Yeah.
But I think the Loki we saw in this season of his own show is that he's kind of gone from being the villain to being more of a
absolutely,
not necessarily a hero, but
he went from an antagonist to a protagonist.
Yeah, you're rooting for him.
Yeah, so
which I think a lot of people root for him anyways. But.
And I think that's very obvious in the season finale when he is offered the chance to beat the Avengers, win the Battle of New York, and kill Thanos.
Yeah,
and he turns that down pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't. Yeah.
These are all questions that come into my mind because of this multiverse. It's like, what kind of variations are we going to see of these same characters? And we're getting the What If series, which is supposed to be canon, and it's going to give us
so we're getting the What If series. Right? That's the next show that we're going to get.
And that's going to be directly affected because of what happened in Loki.
Yeah, I mean, we're just going to be exploring the multiverse, it seems like, in What If. Now, there's been a rumor for a while now that, and it's shaping up to be true, was that Michael B. Jordan, Killmonger from Black Panther, returned to record dialogue for What If. Mm-hmm. And in What If we were going to see a good, like a good guy Killmonger.
Right.
And now the rumor is that they are going to somehow take the good Killmonger from the What If multiverse and bring him into the main MCU timelines to have him take over the mantle as the Black Panther.
Okay. That would be really interesting.
So, it's again, it's a tragic situation because we did lose Chadwick.
Yeah, it's making the best of it.
Yeah, so making that best of that situation, that does seem to be... I think that's the most interesting, and it's now a plausible route to go down to bring Michael B. Jordan back into the MCU.
Right.
So we've got that. We've gone this far too without talking about Spider-Man. How Spider-Man is 100% going to be affected by this.
Mm-hmm.
So again, not that we ever expressed any doubt, but I think we can say confidently that yes, we are going to get Tom Holland. We're going to get Tobey Maguire. We're getting our Andrew Garfield, and we're going to see the different variants of Peter Parker possibly throughout the Spider-Man No Way Home.
It'd be cool if they threw in a Miles Morales too.
Well, I don't have anybody to play Miles Morales live action
that we know of,
and it wouldn't make sense for a Peter Parker variant,
right?
So I mean, I'm totally fine with Miles being the Into the Spider-Verse Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's fine, but we don't have a live action Miles Morales right now, and
it would be cool if they threw in like an end credit scene.
And it just seems like that. I mean, to me, it seems like that's a lot. Like it seems like a lot to cast me to play Miles Morales, and only to put him in an end credit scene.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't want to I don't want to say no, but like it seems like that's a lot to throw into this movie.
Yeah.
Especially when we're getting.
Oh, they've got way too many things to play with.
So much things to play with already that it seems like if we're gonna do Miles Morales, let's just wait and do that at another point in time.
If they throw Miles Morales in, it would end up being probably more of a copy of the Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, movie. And I don't think Sony wants to do that either, because I think Sony is just like, no, like that's our Spider-Man. Like we gave you Peter Parker to play with, we're gonna use Miles Morales to play with. So right. I think logistically that's how it's going to be. I don't think. If we see a live action Miles Morales, it is not going to be for quite a while.
But what if we got a Jake Johnson version of Peter Parker?
That'd be hilarious, actually. That'd be hilarious. If it was like a quick cameo,
yeah,
like a quick cameo thing, I think that'd be hilarious.
That would be awesome.
I would be totally okay with that.
That'd be hilarious.
I mean, like I think a lot of that stuff is like more for like the Into the Spider-Verse 2 sequel.
Yeah.
But it would be cool if we got like all of the people who voiced the cartoons of Spider-Man to come on in and like have like a cameo or be in the movie.
Right.
With the exception of Drake Bell.
Oh yeah, he's in that, huh?
Yeah, he did the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon. I don't think Drake Bell will be coming back and playing Spider-Man anytime soon. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one thing that I want to talk about now too, before we kind of wrap it up real quick with the speculations, is timeline now.
Yeah. The
timeline of the MCU, I think has gotten very confusing now.
Yes.
Not talking about even the multiverses, but like when Loki takes place, we know it's the end of the first Avengers movie. It's after the Battle of New York.
Yeah.
But we don't know like how much time has taken place. What year was the multiverse recreated? We don't know.
Right. I have heard, and I read it somewhere. I can't remember what, but I read somewhere that this happens between Endgame and WandaVision, I believe. So, or like maybe during WandaVision, I can't remember. Yeah, I'll see if I can find that. But
I mean, either way, that's all. I mean, I think that's all speculation because there's no, as far as I know, nobody's come out and said this is when it's taking place at.
But a thought that I had is that Endgame had to happen in order for all of that to happen.
Well, yeah,
because they would have had to go back in time to give Loki the cube again, and then you get what I'm saying. And if you think about it in the bigger picture, Kang or He Who Remains knew all that was going to happen.
Right. But
he was planning on it.
My question though is like, does the multiverse explain Captain America's ending at Endgame where he goes back in time and gets to live out his reality with Peggy?
That's a good question.
So like, yeah. So we don't know when Loki takes place at. Like, I don't think, at least like concretely, we can say definitively like, yes, this happens during WandaVision or this happens just after WandaVision. This happens before Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and that's where we're kind of getting these problems. There's a lot of these new things coming out. We don't know when they're taking place. We don't know. So we know WandaVision is after Endgame.
Right.
It's only a few months after Endgame, and then Falcon and the Winter Soldier is around that same time period, a couple of months after Endgame, and we know both of those shows take place before Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Yes.
So Spider-Man: Far From Home is the latest point in the timeline right now,
Mm-hmm.
and then we know Black Widow. It turns out to be in between Civil War and Infinity War. But like Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, we don't know when that's taking place.
Right.
So is that taking is this it's because my question is Shang-Chi at all going to be affected by this?
Or is it going to be like Captain Marvel, where it's like an origin story?
Is it going to be like a prequel, so it's before the multiverse is being reborn? Does the multiverse explain how the Eternals come up to be? It turns out to be a thing this whole time. Because maybe the Eternals are actually part of a whole different separate timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My question, so with Loki, when they pick him up from when he teleports out of his incarcerated situation after the events of New York, he teleports into the sand dunes, and then very quickly the TVA shows up,
right,
picks him up, takes him back. So when does the TVA exist?
Yeah, that's
my question, because we know when Loki gets pulled out of the timeline and into the TVA, but when
so and I mean kind of piggybacking off of your question right now, Mitch.
Yeah.
We know that the TVA was established by He Who Remains.
Yeah.
To help ensure that there was no more multiverses. So there was no more variants of him to come out.
My assumption is that the TVA exists outside of the timeline.
No, I mean, if that were the case, though, then there wouldn't be an alternate version of the TVA where Loki ends up.
That's true.
Because if they were outside the timeline, they wouldn't be affected by the timeline.
So maybe it exists with
each time.
He Who Remains.
So my understanding is that He Who Remains created the TVA to ensure that the timeline remains singular.
Yeah.
But then he gets killed by Sylvie, so we get multiple timelines. So now there's multiple TVA, or there would be multiple TVAs. So the TVA that we see Loki in, who created that TVA? Well, we know King the Conqueror is in that timeline. So did King the Conqueror create this TVA? So if that's the case, is this TVA much more evil, hostile, aggressive because they've been set up by King the Conqueror?
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying on that?
Yeah. These are all. I mean, this is why.
This is all fear. This is all speculation. Just kind of theorizing.
This is why I think that them bringing in the multiverse was a baller move.
Yeah.
To continue what is probably the greatest cinematic universe in history so far.
Yeah. So that's so I am now expecting for in season 2 or whatever, might be season 2, it might be Doctor Strange, but for Loki to realize that this TVA that he's in is very much, the secret police, the Gestapo, where they're going in and they're messing stuff up even more. They're very kind of evil, because they were established by King the Conqueror.
Right.
But yeah, kind of talking about that, Marvel, there's been the headlines coming out or news coming out that Kevin Feige set up a meeting to go over the rules of the multiverse.
Yeah, I saw that announcement.
Yeah. As far as I know, none of those rules have come to us yet of what those might be. But there are rules that it sounds like everybody's going to have to, follow. But yeah, right now my theory is that, and what we know for sure is that Loki saw the statue of King the Conqueror, and that Loki is on a separate timeline than the one that he originated from.
Yeah.
So I think that the TVA, which was created by He Who Remains, this TVA that he's at was created by King the Conqueror, and it is a evil, oppressive police force.
Right.
And maybe Loki's able to get Mobius to like defect like he has done before. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Other than that, and then we know that Kang is going to be in Quantumania. But do you think he's going to be in Multiverse of Madness, the Doctor Strange movie?
Kang?
Yeah.
I don't know, because I don't know what Marvel has in store for Jonathan Majors. I think I want to picture him as like the new main villain.
Right. Yeah, he definitely is, and they've already said that.
But what I wonder is are they going to like kill him off, or is it going to be like, are we going to see multiple movies where he's a version of Kang is the villain?
Yeah, that is something that they can totally do. With like, at the end of Quantumania, they think they killed him, and maybe they did actually kill him, but there's just another variant that becomes Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah, they're going to be, because they killed the one guy who could keep all of them at bay.
Right.
So now it's almost like the Avengers are going to have to clean up what Sylvie did.
So, and you know what,
undid.
Bringing that up, that reminds me of, going back to Loki, where Mobius is trying to stop the director, and she ends up leaving.
Yeah.
So I think I know what she's doing, but I'm not sure about that. Do you have any ideas what you think she's doing? Excuse me.
I have absolutely no idea.
Okay. So this is just my theory. This is what I thought from watching it. I've watched that last episode 2.5 times. Because Mobius is like how can you think that like free will is a bad thing? And she's like, only one person has free will. Presumably, she now knows who He Who Remains is, because Miss Minutes gave her all of these files.
Right.
So yeah, kind of backtracking. Miss Minutes gives her all these files, and she's like, these aren't the files I asked for. And she's like, no, but he thinks that you'll find this more interesting. So I think she got like essentially the whole spiel that Loki and Sylvie got.
Okay.
So she understands that there's multiple variants. She understands that He Who Remains is like what he did to like preserve the sacred timeline.
In a way, it's like He Who Remains has established a backup plan.
Yes.
In case.
That's
it fits
because He Who Remains said, I don't really care anymore if you kill me. If you take over, then my legacy endures. If you kill me, then there's just going to be another multiversal war, and then I'll just end up back here at this chair.
Uh-huh.
Kind of saying, like, again, kind of like the Thor, the kind of like
inevitable.
I am inevitable. Yeah. Thank you. I really stumbled through that.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So yeah, going back to that, where Mobius is like, how can you think free will is bad? And she's like, well, only one person has free will. And then she travels through the door, and he's like, where are you going? And then she's like, to find free will.
Right.
So I think she is looking for the variant who is going to be the new He Who Remains.
Right. Since he is dead.
Since he is dead, original. but now there's an infinite amount of variants out there, and one of them will end up taking the same path as He Who Remains.
Right.
So I think she is going to go there, try to find him, and be like, hey, look, like, I'm just here to speed up the process.
Yeah, because she can go back in time now and find him.
And we know that the TVA's things work like interdimensionally now, because they sent Loki to a different timeline.
Right.
So she can travel to the different timelines. So that's what I think she's doing. She's traveling through the different timelines, trying to find the variant who will be the one who becomes the next He Who Remains.
Right. So my question is, this is an opinion I have. I like what they're doing, what Marvel is doing with the time, with the multiverse, with all that kind of stuff. The TVA's entrance into Marvel, I have a problem with, because I just have a problem with time travel in general. That was the one part of Endgame that I didn't like. Loved the rest of it. I did not like the going back in time, but I see how it was I mean, it's set up a lot of different things now.
Mm-hmm.
But time travel for me is, in a lot of ways, I've seen it used as a cop out, and in a lot of ways, I've seen it used brilliantly.
Right.
For this one, and the problem I have is that it opens up way too many
Paradoxes.
loose ends. Yeah, paradoxes and just like things that you just don't have answers to. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, why doesn't what's the director lady's name? We were just talking about her.
I don't know. I just know her as like the director. I don't even know her
I can't
name.
remember her name. It's like it only says her name a few times. But why can't she go, like, if she knows where to go, if she were to know where to go, why can't she go stop Sylvie from killing He Who Remains?
Well, so I don't think one where He Who Remains is, that is clearly not affected by the TVA. Like he is
Okay.
above that. So like you can't reverse anything that he's done.
Okay.
And I think that makes sense that he would set himself up like that, where like the TVA couldn't just overrule him like that.
Okay, that makes sense.
But so
he's in control.
Yeah, but now there's just a power vacuum.
Yeah.
Since he's gone. So what I expect is they, like, to its credit, Endgame did set up rules about time travel.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think we are going to unravel more of the rules of time travel as the MCU progresses.
Right, because it was new to everyone there.
Yeah, and I think I don't know where we'll learn that from. I don't know if we'll learn that in Spider-Man or Doctor Strange or whatever, but I think we'll unravel more rules. Mm-hmm. And we know from Loki they kind of unraveled a little more of the rules of how they work. So I'm okay with it. So like nothing so far has broken me about this.
Yeah, I'm not saying at all that I hate it or anything. Right. I'm just like it's kind of like a thin line for me. It's like It's like once you pass that, we just opened up like they're going in, they're committed, basically. They're committed to this multiverse future for the near future for as long as we know. But it depends on how they use it. And the way that it's been established so far is great. I don't have, like, when I say I have problems with the Endgame time travel, it's just like, time travel kind of bores me sometimes. I felt like I was just rewatching all the Avengers movies, and then you got the cool battle at the end. And then, but now that it's like, you have the multiverse, but you also have the time travel component involved with the TVA. And that's where it's like, what are they going to do with that? Because that's got infinite possibilities within the multiverse, if that makes sense.
Right, yeah. We've got
you can travel. Loki, in his current state, can travel. If he gets his hands on one of them telepad things, he can travel to any point in any universe, in any timeline. And that, because we've seen that he got transported to a different timeline.
But what we can, like, I don't know. I get what you're saying, but I think it allows for so much creative freedom too at the same time. Yeah. But like,
my point is that it can get confusing really fast.
I mean, yeah, I guess so, but I don't. I mean, there's no reason to expect that right now when it hasn't been confusing yet.
Right.
I don't know. I get what you're saying, but I kind of think that's just whatever. I mean, for me, that's just a nonchalant shoulder shrug right now. Just like, whatever. Like,
yeah.
So,
I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying.
No, yeah, I know what you're saying. And like,
I worry about time travel when they bring him in time travel to any franchise. I'm just like, okay, how are they going to explain it? Because every different version of time travel and different franchises have their own rules, and I think that this one is much more scientific based and probably accurate in reality, to be honest. But yeah, just one of those things for me that's like, how are they gonna do this, and will it be something that kind of derails, or is it something that's going to be really interesting and captivating?
Yeah. Well,
because that's what it's setting up for. It's setting up for that.
Only time will tell.
Time will tell. Pun
And
intended.
we'll figure that out. Our next little taste of this is going to be the What If, and that's coming out, I think, just next month.
Mm-hmm.
So now that Loki is done, we are going to take a little break from that. But we'll hop right back to it when What If comes out. We'll do a breakdown of each episode when What If comes out.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have got Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings coming out.
Yes. I'm super excited for that one.
Yep. And then after Shang-Chi, we have the Eternals. And then we have Spider-Man, No Way Home. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be breaking down all of that stuff right here on the Moderately Interesting podcast.
Right here.
And to finally give our closing thoughts, what did you think of the season overall, season 1 of Loki, Mitch?
Honestly, I'll give it 10 out of 10.
I would give it, at least a 9.5.
Yeah.
If not, 9.8, 9.9, 10. I very much enjoyed it.
Even though I just ranted about time travel, I thought they did it really well. It was very captivating, and I'm super excited to see where this all goes.
Super excited to see that. Super excited to see season 2. We will definitely, within our 10,000 episodes, be going over season 2 of Loki.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm super excited. Kang the Conqueror is officially in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see where they go. We didn't even get to talk about, is he actually going to be Nathaniel Reed's? I don't know. I'm super interested to see if they do.
Richards.
Yeah. Whatever I said.
Reed Richards is
Reed Richards.
a descendant, which we are getting the Fantastic Four. So I'm excited to see how that's going to tie in.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm super excited if they end up, if he ends up, hold on. What did I just say? I can't. If he ends up beating Nathaniel Richards.
Yes.
Because so far we haven't even met Reed Richards.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's still so much that we can explore. Kind of like we were saying earlier. I mean, they could kill him 100 times and he could just keep coming back. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I think that's kind of going to be the crux, is like eventually they are going to have to get the He Who Remains to come back.
Yeah.
Now that I'm kind of like talking about this, because there were rumors that like they were going to do like more stuff with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. And like maybe we will get that, because like Kang the Conqueror is just like, they think they kill him and then he comes back and they think they kill him again. He's like Voldemort. Like they kill him and he comes back. They kill him and he comes back.
Right.
And like so maybe we get to like play around with some of these characters. Like maybe we get to play around with the other variants of Spider-Man for a while. Maybe we get to play around with these different variants.
Yeah.
And like maybe that's where like Jane becoming Thor is actually like a different variant of the Jane that we know.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah,
like
so maybe
how that'll be affected.
And so and they just keep killing Kang, but they can't stop the multiverse, so it keeps coming back. And then eventually it ends with them bringing back a new person who becomes the new He Who Remains.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know where they're going from this. I don't know like how you can kill Kang and like make it like, is this just the new normal? Do they have to figure out a way to bring Singularity back to the timeline?
Right.
I don't know, but like I'm super excited to see where this all goes.
That's what's crazy. It's like hard for at least my brain. It's like just hard to understand even the most basic parts of the multiverse.
Right.
Because all those questions come up and it's like, oh, I'm tired.
Yeah.
Just thinking about it. But
yeah.
Yeah. Like is the end goal to eradicate the Kangs and just let the multiverses play out?
You see, I don't think you can do that. If there's an infinite number of universes, there's an infinite number of Kangs. You can't kill an infinite amount of people.
Just stepping on cockroaches.
Yeah. So my thought is the only way you can do that is by just purging the timelines of the multiverse. Just bringing
They're
them back.
Need to get the Infinity Stones again and snap their fingers, and
they can do that, or
get rid of Kang that way,
or they can bring back He Who Remains, which is what I think they're going to do.
Yeah. That'll be very interesting to see.
Yeah. But anyways, it's all super exciting. It all stemmed from this Disney Plus show.
Yes.
Not from a movie, but from a show.
It sure did.
And that's all the time we have right now for this episode of the Moderately Interesting Podcast. Make sure to subscribe, drop a comment.
Rate, review,
all that fun stuff. Share it with your grandma, share it with your grandpa. Share it with your uncle, but don't share it with Drake Bell.
I have one more question before we end.
Yes.
When are we going to see the version of Iron Man that we need?
I don't know. In this timeline, I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about?
You're talking, of course, about Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. Well, maybe we'll find that out in one of the multiverse lines.
Maybe we will. Until then, though, I've been Aaron.
And I have been Mitch.
And no matter what multiverse you're in, make sure to always tip your lifeguard. Bye-bye.
Bye.